Oh, hello there. Yes, well, that's sticky, isn't it? Anyway, hurtling away towards the weekend, and I'm having a glorious few days chilled, which is rather nice. Yes, anyway, a couple of things for your delectation today, which are, I think, kind of linked, or at least I'll shove them together with a bit of superglue at the hip. First up, my eye was drawn to a comic piece by Alison Pearson in the Daily Telegraph, right, okay? My Soviet A&E ordeal shows there's no compassion left in the dead-eyed NHS. Yes, you see, whenever there's the word Soviet, I am drawn to it like a moth to a flame because, give me a good history book on Operation Bagration and I'm a happy camper. Yes, the whole liberation of the Ukraine. Not now, you understand. Subtly different politics now, not liberation now. Just want to make that really clear. Anyway, yes. So, Alison, unfortunately, had to use the NHS, and she was a bit unhappy about it. Yeah, we cannot say we live in a civilised country where our health service is so broken and so deficient in basic kindness. Yes, because she had to go there with a few problems, and she didn't get the most brilliant service, and nobody came round quickly enough for her liking. Okay. You can read the piece for yourself. Okay. Anyway, let's just say what she says. But the lingering symptom, the thing I don't think I will ever get over, is the awful sense we live in a country where the health service is so broken, so badly managed, so very far from providing a safe service. Please don't call us again unless your condition deteriorates, in quotes. So indifferent to pain and suffering, so conscious of its own rights, and yet so deficient in basic kindness and consideration that it's forgotten its first duty, which is to humanity. Yes, indeed, yes. Except, of course, Alison, that the problem is that there are a lot of people out there who are deficient in basic human kindness and decency, and a lot of them are columnists for the Daily Telegraph. If you've been forced to use a service that you have a long run down in your column and supported policies that have long run down that particular service that you have to use, there's no private A&E facility, so you have to use it. And if you're disgusted with it, maybe you should use your platform, your God-given platform, to make it better, rather than simply blaming the staff with a rather sneery racism that was throughout the piece. Do read it for yourself. If you want to read further about Alison's views about what needs to happen in the NHS to make it better, there's a really good piece, again linked down below, by Mick Wright. Yes, indeed. You see, because when people have to use these services, they often get an actually different viewpoint, don't they? Yeah, if everyone had to send their children to state schools would be a lot better. Anyway, moving on from that particular one, I just wanted to come to a particular thing that I noticed by Matt Goodwin, who posts an awful lot of stuff on his site, most of which is paywalled. But this caught my eye, okay? Anonymous Zoomer. I was indoctrinated at university. I thought, I've got to read that from an anonymous Zoomer. Have to be anonymous because, the Maoist, Leninist, Trotskyites, Corbynistas will probably beat you up otherwise. Nah, it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen, is it? No. Anyway, the latest column from the anonymous member of Gen Z. Okay, so this is a bloke in his 20s, which we've sort of sorted out already from previous ones. Now, I'm going to state this from the front, okay? I don't believe that this is a child of Matt Goodwin's because he's not quite old enough to fit into that demographic. But I'm willing to bet that this child is the child of someone else in that kind of liberal media elite. Yeah, I'm going to use that phrase and own that one, against Matt and people like Alison, right? Okay, this is one of their children. Almost guaranteed. That's the reason why it's anonymous. It's not because they're facing death threats from jihadists, is it? Yeah, just for holding an opinion. I know a lot of people out there believe that. It's not real, though. So, yeah, it's one of their children, okay? Privileged background. So, anyway, let's dive into the article. I recently graduated from one of Britain's most prestigious universities, but over the last year it's become increasingly clear to me and many of my friends that despite amassing over £60,000 of debt for the privilege of joining the graduate class, we learnt very little of any genuine value at university. Shouldn't have done English then, should you? Anyway, unless, that is, you count critical race theory, gender ideology, climate activism, and the new religion of wokeness that as having any genuine value outside the increasingly narrow bubble that is filled with members of the liberal graduate class. Yes, indeed, you see. I don't know what course that would be. Critical race theory, which is an American law thing. Gender ideology, which is might fit into some sort of gender studies thing, but it's most likely to be an MA thing. Climate activism, geography, that's part of the geography curriculum, I think, and the new religion of wokeness. Well, I don't know, could that be some sort of theological thing? It's a very odd degree that this person possibly took, but of course they're not actually saying anything about what they actually took. What they're saying is they're just using these kind of buzzwords. Very often I see articles by you get things like gender criticals and parents, right? Okay, and they'll say, my daughter and her friend have written this letter, okay, and you look at the letter and it's written by two 14-year-olds, and you think, yeah, you got a lot of help from your mum there, because the language is always what their parents would use, okay, which is what we've got here, okay. These are just simply having a go at the lefties' buzz phrases, aren't they? Yeah, that's all that is. It's basically meaningless, right? Okay. No one in the UK has taught critical race theory. I'll say it over and over again. No one. Okay. You'd have to go to a very, very odd degree course to take in all of the things that anonymous Gen Z person has here. Anyway, moving on. Right, which is where we get to the point that Matt is trying to come to here. Okay, and I think this tells us much about the shifting political allegiances in the West. In the West. Nobody who's Gen Z uses the word the West, do they? Unless they work for GB News. Anyway, at recent elections, many members of the elite liberal graduate class have watched in horror as large numbers of Zoomers, like me, have moved to the right, expressing support for Donald Trump in America, national populists in Europe, or national Nigel Farage's reform. Yes, there we go, you see? That's Matt Goodwin's view, yeah? Remember during the election when all of those vast numbers of young people were flocking to go and vote reform, weren't they? We'll come back to that one. As the Free Press recently noticed in regard to Zoomers going MAGA in America. Yeah, it's not the UK, is it? Anyway, new polls show that Gen Z vote, which Biden won by about 20 points in 2020, now in play. A recent New York Times senior college survey taken after Biden's disastrous debate flop puts Trump ahead of Biden by 8 points amongst registered voters aged 18 to 29. And Pew Research, conducted from February the 1st to June 10th, 24, shows the GOP is leading amongst those under 30. Yes, or at least they were. I don't think that's going to carry on because of various changes in and around a vice president. Anyway, yeah, Gen Z person who is like everyone else who's under 29 is magically moving to the right, aren't they? Because if you look at all the statistics for this, of course, that's a whole bunch of hooey, isn't it? Because the actual numbers of people that voted right under 24 at the last election was roughly the same number of people that voted on the right, and I'm using Reform and the Conservatives together there, okay, back in 2019. Right, the dial hasn't shifted. You've got about 3-4% of young people that will vote right wing. There you go. The dial has not moved. Not moved. And increasingly, those people that are over 24 are not moving right either. Sorry, Matt. Sorry to blow that away in terms of whatever you might want to believe. You can be very, very happy about young people in Germany voting for neo-fascist parties. That's entirely right. But it isn't happening here. And you can insist that it's happening here, but it's not, because the numbers don't go there. Anyway, just to move on a little bit more with Mr. Anonymous Child of Friend of Matt. Anyway, there is a listlessness that my peers and I feel, and I think it's borne by the fact that we simply do not own anything, nor can we put down roots anywhere. We are neither the somewheres or anywheres British writer David Goodhart talks about. Yeah, need to have read that, don't you? We have neither the means to join the somewheres by putting down roots, nor the desire to join the continually mobile, hyper-liberal anywheres who eschew those roots for the sort of hedonistic, bohemian and hyper-individualistic life we are simply trapped. Yes, which is your archetypal Gen Z complaining bitterly about the economy and where they are. Well, Gen Zer. It's not going to be solved by Matt Goodwin's views, is it? It's not going to be solved by Alison Pearson's views if you don't invest in the architecture of the country through good public works and good public service, and instead go for a kind of libertarian I don't care line, and I don't actually belong to a group of people, and can't basically bring it to myself to actually suggest that there might be a common good, then that's where we end up. And if you feel alienated, yeah, you will do, okay? That's what Durkheim, wildly described as enemy. That's where that's going to come from. And it can only get worse. And it will continue to get worse as long as people like Matt and his friend Alison and all those other people are telling us that the only way forward is to be as libertarian and mean-spirited as we can be, because that's an enlightened approach to our fellow human beings. Now, you can bitch as much as you like about feeling that you're not as left-wing as people around you. No, you're not. Welcome to my world, yeah? I have spent almost all of my life being the lefty in the room. Okay? Yeah? One of the very good things about it is it gives you a very, very solid view of what your own views should be. I don't, particularly moan. Well, I do moan a lot, I suppose, in this. But I, in my life, have gone out and tried to do things in the world, okay? I'm not insisting that other people change around me. What I want, broadly speaking, is good things for everybody. I don't just want good things for me, all right? I want good things for everybody. And I can't get good things for everybody if I can only get good things for me. Yes, anyway, sorry about drifting there at the end. You get my point, okay? But I do get a bit hacked off with these so-called anonymous articles by young people. They're representative of absolutely nobody other than a bunch of posh kids whose parents work in the media, okay? It's an absolute con, in the same way that Alison Pearson suggesting that the NHS needs an awful lot less funding because it's so wasteful is a con as well. All right? Anyway, I guess I'll have to wait for the Maoists to come round and beat me up now, or something. Yeah, the only people that have ever threatened me in my life have been right-wingers. Odd that, isn't it? Anyway, do have a lovely Thursday. Yeah. Ooh, stay cool. It's too sticky.